Hey everyone, Dave from BC Bushcraft, and welcome to my solo survival video on Vancouver Island. I did bring a few tools with me, and I'll quickly go over what I brought for my survival trip. So for terms of what I brought with me, I brought with me a liter of water with a nesting mug and a lid. I brought with me my axe. This is about a 2-pound head and a 22-inch handle. I brought bear spray. I brought a ferro rod. I brought my knife, my Condor bush lore, and I have rain gear and some gloves. So this is what I have to work with on this trip. It should rain, even though it's quite nice right now. It's called for rain later on today. It should rain at night too, and next morning. So I really do need to get a shelter going pretty quick. I need to find a really good place to set it up. And that's what we're going to be doing right now, is looking for a good location to set up my survival shelter. In terms of what I don't have, is I don't have any sleeping gear. I have no tarp. I have no food. I have no cordage. I do have a first aid kit just in case something really bad does happen, and some camera gear, and a backpack to carry all of my camera gear and this stuff in. But I don't have anything else. So no sleeping bag, sleeping mat, none of that stuff. As far as layers is what I'm wearing, my sweatshirt, my toque, and rain gear. So this is what I have to work with. Take a look at this guy. Try to get focus. Wow, he looks like a vulture to me. Wow, that's a cool sight. Whoa. Super neat. So after hiking around a bit, I found this fallen over Douglas fir tree. This looks like a really good find for a survival shelter. It's a very big old tree, and it's actually even dry underneath the tree. I don't really want to be crawling underneath a tree though, just in case something happens and some weather happens, you might get squashed. I don't want that to happen to me. But the one thing that I don't like about where the log is right now is that the ocean's over here, and the wind comes in and hits right against the tree. So to make this a workable site, I'm probably going to have to go on the other side of the tree, scope it out, and then the tree will become a wind block now because the ocean is faced this way. The wind will come, the tree will block me from the wind, and then I won't get lose my heat from wind always coming into my shelter, and then I might not get the chance of smoke from my fire coming into my face. So this is what the other side of the tree looks like. It's not as nice as the opposite side of this tree, but just not having the wind hitting you is a big deal in a survival situation. And I don't really like that kind of like dead standing wood that's kind of like hung up on that tree over there too. But if it's solid enough, I might be able to incorporate it into my shelter. Maybe I can support it a little bit more so it doesn't end up falling. That's something I have to work with. There's some there's some dead stuff on the ground here that I can use for building materials. So I think this is going to be the site for sure. It's just a great wind deflection, and it's a really easy way to set up a survival shelter using a big fallen over tree like this. As far as my priorities go, it's shelter, it's fire, it's water, and it's food. Water and food I'm probably okay with because I do have a liter of water right now. So shelter and fire are kind of what I'm aiming for. You know, depending on what scenario you're going into, because this is a simulated survival situation, it's shelter and it's fire for me today, but it might be different depending on what scenario you're getting into. So there is a little trickle of a water source here that comes in behind the back of this tree. So water is really close by. As far as food, don't really need it. I don't have to think about it until later on when I've set up my shelter, I got my fire established, or I got a bunch of firewood and I feel secure that I can build one quickly. So what I'm going to do here is build a lean-to up against the log. I'm going to put like boughs up against here, and I'm going to use this Douglas fir tree that's live kind of as a backing to prevent some wind coming in and hitting me as well. I'll have my fire over here, and I might be able to make even a protection from rain for my fire too. So that's kind of what I'm going for with this shelter. Okay, the sun is gone and the temperature has dropped a little bit, so I would assume that it's going to start raining anytime now. So basically, I cleared out a little place for me to sleep there, and over here you can see some rocks. I think that's where my fire is going to be. It's good here. There's no roots. I got right to the dirt very quickly, so it's a good safe place for a fire, and I think it's going to work out pretty well. That overhanging deadfall, that snag, it feels solid. I hit it several times with my axe. I've trimmed off some branches off of it, but I still will put a support beam here just so nothing happens while I'm sleeping. Even though if it does fall, it will fall this way because of the tree, so I won't get squashed anyways, but it might ruin my shelter if I build it, so something to think about. But it also can be a nice addition to the shelter as well. Yeah, get this going. So it showered and then it stopped, which is quite nice. But basically what I'm doing is I have a guide pole here, so I'm cutting all the poles to the same length, and then I'm just chopping through with my axe. This would be good firewood too. So I've finished putting up all of my poles. You can see that I have a generous amount of room for my head and my feet in there. I want to chink the gaps with moss. There's a ton of moss around here that's really easy to take off the ground. So I'm going to go collect a bunch of that and probably fill this back side where my head's going to be, or just to hole off one area, and the fire is going to go over here. And we're going to build a little bit of a fire pit and maybe a little bit of a shelter for the fire, because if it starts raining at night, it just might give it a little protection. Man, where am I going to find moss? So this stuff comes up really easily, man. I'll just, try to roll up a bunch of it, or just collect it in mounds, and then we'll just stuff in the cracks. Now we got a reasonably good pile of moss. I'm going to just start filling the gaps in between the poles. Starting to drop in temperature again. I wouldn't be surprised if I got another shower. I had a shower of rain, and then it stopped. It became really sunny, and it's supposed to kind of do that all day, and it probably will be raining at nighttime and maybe into tomorrow morning. So I do want to try to waterproof this thing as much as I can while I have the time. Okay, so I got all the moss done as far as the gaps go. I chinked it all in. I do want to reinforce the weatherproofing, probably with some boughs. Whether it's, I see some grand fir trees, which are pretty good for that. There's some cedar trees up here, which I might take a few boughs for that. And then I'm going to use the Douglas fir boughs for my bed because they're a little bit springier. There's no spruce or anything like that in my region. So the Douglas fir does have more loft than the other conifer trees as far as that goes. And, you know, I want to get the fire pit built and stuff like that. So that will be next up too. So unless you're really desperate, I prefer to just prune a few branches off each tree and not try to take a whole tree down when I'm collecting boughs. So the tree is not going to die. I'll just take my knife and clip it off like that. And then that's all you really need to do. All right, I'm all done with the exterior of the shelter. I think that's all I'm going to do as far as putting stuff on. I put a bunch of boughs on it. I got the moss, the wood, like I should be pretty dry, if not totally dry in there. I have a stack of Douglas fir boughs here that I'm going to use for my bed. I'm just going to process it up and take some of the big sticks out so it's a little bit more lofty. I might go collect moss too and put it at the bottom to give it a little bit more spring, just because the moss around here is totally soaked and I can't use it as a bed mat because I'll just get totally wet using it. This Douglas fir found on the ground, but it was dry, so that's a good score. I've collected a decent pile of this stuff. Now I'm just going to throw it into my shelter. You do need quite a lot of boughs for yourself. Even all the stuff that I collected here probably won't be that comfortable, but it's better than nothing, that's for sure. Nothing too fancy here. Just something to block more wind from coming in. Here comes another rain shower. Feels like hail. That's crazy. I was just going to say I need to take a break because I've been working so hard. Now it's pissing rain on me. So I got to get out of the rain here. I mean, I've accomplished a lot so far. The shelter is done. It's pretty much the fire pit, getting firewood. Dealing with these rain showers is really annoying because it will stop and then I throw my rain jacket on and it stops. So I have to take my rain jacket off. So I'm just going to try to wait this one out if it's not too bad. You can see why I was trying to weatherproof the shelter a little more, hey? Definitely hailing out there. I'm just leaned up against a tree, waiting it out. Check it. This is crazy. Well, the hail stopped and I've had a bit of a break, rest my back against this tree to hide from the hail. And it's basically time to make a bit of a fire pit. And I do want to make kind of like a tiny bit of a shelter. Because that down tree, I could probably put some boughs over it just to prevent some rain or like crazy ass hail like that from hitting my fire at nighttime, putting it out and things like that. So I might try to make a little bit of a cover too. That's pretty much all I'm going to be doing. Next is firewood. Looking for firewood. I do have some nice big logs to split up, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I got my little fire area set up. I got some rocks to reflect heat kind of towards the shelter, some rocks to prevent this guy from catching on fire. And I left this area open because at nighttime I want to feed some big logs in so I don't have to process a whole bunch of firewood up. And I'll probably have 2, maybe 3 logs that I'll be feeding in continuously all night. And that's kind of like my idea to try to make this a sustainable fire all night. And I should get some heat coming into the shelter. It's nice and wind protected. It's something. Just something quick that I whipped up. So I'm starting to get a little hungry. And apparently, if you choose salal leaves, it acts like an appetite suppressant. Doesn't taste terrible. Can't swallow it though. So this is my firewood situation. I have these really big logs that some of it I was using for my shelter, and they're like leftover pieces of it. And like there's a few lying around that are quite big, which should be good for nighttime. And but I really do need to find some smaller stuff. I do have a little stash of twigs and stuff just kind of hanging out underneath the tall tree back here. This stuff will definitely some nice dry twigs that will help with the fire. I'm also going to collect some cedar. Up there, I don't know if you can tell, there's some cedar trees. And cedar, it's just really good tinder. So I'm going to go try to find some branches off of those cedars. Okay, so I've split up a few of those logs over there, stacked them like that. I have 3 quite big logs here that I'll try to feed into the fire. And then I just have some junk pieces kind of laying around and a pile over here from when I was working and stuff. And that's kind of like last resort fire. If, if you run out during the nighttime, you got some stuff that you could possibly throw on and try to get it going. And then you don't have to be scrambling too much in the dark. So now I just want to take down a dead standing tree and get some cedar collected. Here's a relatively nice dead standing tree. It has the top broken off of it already, so the top is probably rotten, but I did a bit of an axe check and it does seem solid. So I think I'm going to take this one because, the inside and this one will burn better probably than the other ones that I got. am. I'm going to buck a few sections of this up just so I can have some really nice wood for the fire. Come on. So this is that's the dead standing wood, that long one at the back there. And now I kind of feel safe with how much firewood I do have as far as the fuel goes. You know, even with this, like, who knows? You'd be shocked how much firewood you can go through in one night. But now I'm just going to collect a whole bunch of cedar and stash some cedar too for myself tonight. So these beauties are my target. All nice, dry, dead, big limbs here. You know, big thick limbs of cedar. That's perfect kindling. You know, slightly damp on the outside, but some of these are bone dry. I mean, I don't need to make like split wood fire and get crazy. I can take a whole bunch of this stuff and this will be perfect kindling. A nice bundle of cedar twigs to get me going for sure. I'm going to collect a whole bunch of this stuff because if my fire goes dead at night, this is a go-to. It's such good kindling. It's by far the best in the woods in my area. The western red cedar for sure is a winner. It's not a good fuel. It's not good fuel wood. It burns too quick, but it's amazing at getting your fires going. Helps if the log you're cutting on doesn't have a spring to it. How are you doing this one? Lots of finer stuff. Should get going pretty easy with this. So I'm going to make a bunch of shavings with the cedar to try to make it as easy as possible to get that fire going. And I'm just using my shirt to collect the shavings. I like using my axe sometimes to get coarser in the middle shavings. And then I'll use the knife for some finer ones. Okay, so I'm going to try to hit my ferro rod into this kind of feather stick that I made of cedar. And we'll see how that lights up. Okay, we got some fire. Put on all of these shavings that I made. And then those twigs. I can put a few of these on. Should have a fire by the end of it. Well, that feels good. To have the fire ready to go. I'm on my last sip of water. My lips are starting to feel dried out and stuff, so you know I really should be having 2 liters of water a day. But I'm really happy that the fire is going. It's time to go and collect more water and put it on the fire right away. Maybe I got a little bit of time to do some foraging actually, so we could probably take a look and see what I can find. See if I can get any food. So we'll go and do that. I'm getting a little bit exhausted, feeling kind of my brain's not super sharp right now. Not having the food, kind of feeling it a bit. Burned a lot of calories and did a lot of work today, but it was a really successful day. Definitely not the nicest source of water in the world, but better than nothing, that's for sure. How am I going to get that? Not too murky. Nice. So I just kind of scoped out a little further up my water source, and it's quite marshy up here, and there's a ton of stinging nettle to collect, which is really nice. So like I will have some food to eat tonight, whether it's just a little pot of stinging nettle, that's no problem to me. I'm going to just put gloves on and start harvesting some of this stuff and throw it right into my bag. Apparently you can roast the roots too and try eating that. So I'm going to try to do that on a few of these as well. This is why it's a really good idea to have stainless steel water bottles and stuff, is because you can purify water on the fire like this. You don't have to worry about, you know, putting those tabs in it in any of your water and stuff like that. And then you can also make tea and cook a whole bunch of variety of things. So I'm making Douglas fir tea in here right now. I'm purifying that bottle of water for later. And yeah. Ooh, my tea is boiling. Let's see if I can get it out there without burning myself. I didn't think this one through. Leather gloves always help. I'll take the lid off so we can watch it. Watch it boil. There we go. That looks a little better. Oh, that's going to be really, 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 really nice to have. I'm going to let it boil off for a while though. And then I'll transfer the water bottle into the center of the coals there. While my water is boiling, quite violently. Oh man, that tastes so good. If you guys haven't tried Douglas fir tea, it's really good. I think it might be better than pine. It has like that, you know, because Douglas fir trees are Christmas trees, right? So even my bed, when I get in it, it like reminds me of Christmas time. So the tea is really nice to drink, for sure. Has a very like familiar like taste to it. So, oh, that's really nice. here's my dinner. I got my nettles boiling, and then I got those roots kind of roasting over there, and this is what I'm eating for dinner. I just gotta let these boil probably for 5 to 10 minutes. I'll probably give it 10 minutes this time and make them nice and tender. Well, it's starting to get dark and the temperature's dropping, but my stinging nettle are done. About a 10-minute boil. Mm. You definitely really appreciate some food after working all day and not eating, even how small it is of a meal. It tastes really good. I just have the roots roasting in the top of my lid for my stainless steel mug, and I'll give those a try soon too. Oh, let's try these roots now. It tastes like a vegetable. It's okay. Stringy. Something though. Well, I know you're not going to be able to see anything, but I got a log fire going on, and I'm just about getting ready for bed. It's around 10:30 or so, maybe 11. And I'm just relaxing and kind of enjoying my fire, lying down in my shelter. It's actually not too bad, quite comfortable. So I'll see you guys in the morning. Well, good morning. Last night was pretty rough. I probably slept, 15, 30-minute intervals here and there throughout the night. But it was cold last night, and I spent a lot of time sitting where I am right now, just with my back up against this piece of split firewood because it was cold. I went through a lot of the firewood, almost all of it, and around everything was good up until around 12:30. I was lying in my shelter. I probably fell asleep, got the most sleep around that time, from like 11 to 12:30, and then it got quite cold, and I kind of had to huddle up like at the entrance of my shelter, and I only got sleep here and there because I had to keep stoking the fire and keep it going. So it was a rough night, but it could have been a lot worse. It didn't rain too much. It rained a little bit here and there, but it was quite sparse and not that much. So I'm glad for that. And it's not raining right now, which is awesome. So I'll probably just maybe make some tea or something, just for warm myself up and hang out. I'm not gonna lie, it's really nice to see the light, to see morning come in and hear the birds chirping and stuff. It's really nice after a long night. Pretty much stayed up all night, And this is how much firewood I have left. This was the dead standing tree that I felled, and this is one of the logs. And I went through quite a bit, but I did have pretty much the right amount because, if I wanted to continue my fire for a few more hours, this would get burnt up right away. So that was perfect. I had the perfect amount of firewood. I didn't have to worry. And shoving the logs in all night just kept my fire going and kept me warm. It was a really big deal to have that fire going all night, and these logs made it happen for sure. But it's nice to have a tea too. I've been making sure to drink a lot of water because I haven't been eating, and I had a few hot drinks at nighttime just to warm me up too. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed my survival video. This is my first survival video, my first real survival challenge that I've challenged myself to do. I wanted to branch away a little bit from the bushcraft stuff and give myself a harder time. And, it was a rough night, but I learned a lot of stuff and it was definitely a good time. So I really hope that you guys comment, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and let me know what you think about the video. And if you like watching me do some survival type stuff. And also, I do have a donate button down below. If you feel free to donate. Any money that comes in for the channel is going right back into it. I plan on saving up for a high quality camera to shoot better videos for everyone. So until the next video, I hope you guys have a great day. This is Dave from BC Bushcraft.